Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing in Quebec. Except today, we welcome a guest who's in the United States of America. Welcome to Savannah Arroyo.
Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
super good. I'm really happy to have you here today, as you are a fabulous example of people I look up to, actually, who have a full-time job and who've started a side hustle in real estate and who've done extremely well over the past year. So I look forward to diving into your story.
Yes, I'm stoked to be here.
So you run the Networth Nurse, a real estate company that you started about a year ago. Can you tell us a little bit about how it all happened?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a full-time registered nurse. I'm still working full-time. I've worked in a few different specialties throughout my nursing career. And then pretty early on, I went back to school and I got my master's in nursing leadership and administration just because I was just naturally gravitating towards different leadership roles and process improvement initiatives. So I went back to school and I got that. And so I've moved into administration now. So currently I oversee multiple departments at a hospital here in LA. I'm doing a lot of management, operations type stuff day to day. I got into real estate investing in the beginning of last year. I was on maternity leave with my second daughter, and just my husband and I were talking about our growing family and just kind of our time schedules and our ability to be flexible with our daughter's schedules as they were growing up, and being able to take them to swimming lessons and soccer practice and field trips, and our current work schedules. I mean, we both work full-time Monday through Friday jobs that just didn't really have the flexibility to be super involved in their lives. And so we immediately started looking for different ways to create multiple streams of income, different ways we could invest our money to kind of offset some of our W-2 income so that we could potentially maybe go down part-time or full-time into real estate. And real estate was really the best strategy to get this done. We originally started investing in single family homes, and then shortly after moved into multifamily. And right now we're currently doing multifamily syndications.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's quite the jump in a year. Did you have any prior knowledge, or how did you feel confident jumping into it?
No, so I didn't really even know anything about real estate. It wasn't really in either of my husband or I's family growing up. And so we were educating ourselves through podcasts, YouTube, books. We were consuming all the information we could. I mean, the majority of it was free. And we were just learning about different strategies within real estate, how to compare different returns, just different, the work involved in different strategies. And we had our eyes set on multifamily pretty early on.
Okay, yeah, best bang for your buck.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you had mentioned that you started this about a year ago. You're still in your full-time job. So you did a few single family deals at the beginning. Is that in the LA region?
No, so all of our properties have been out of state. Our first two single family homes were over in Atlanta, Georgia, and they were a super easy investment to get started in. They were build to rent projects. So we were watching them be built brand new, and then the builder puts in their property management in place. So then they're already very familiar with the area and the property itself, and they make it pretty a seamless transition for investors who want to have a really passive approach. And that was kind of a way to jump in and get our feet wet. And then after we did those two deals, we were like, okay, that was pretty easy in a sense of like, we didn't really have to do a lot of work. So like we were looking for what we could do next. And then syndication was the route from there.
Yeah, it's definitely the next step up to do afterwards. So I'd love to pick maybe a deal in multifamily that you've done and kind of like go a little bit more in detail about, first of all, like, where is it located? What's the property, and how'd you find it?
Yeah, definitely. So I can do the one we closed on a few weeks ago. It's a 24 unit up in Oregon. We already had a broker in the area, a team in the area. That's where we purchased our first multifamily syndication. It was a 12 unit up on the coast in Oregon. And after we closed on that deal, our broker and the lender just we had already had a relationship with them. And so it was pretty easy. Our broker saw that we really delivered and made things efficient. And so he started sending us more deals. He knew now what we were looking for. And so he sent us, after we closed on that first one, the second one pretty quickly. It was a 24 unit, very strong value add, below market rents, and a lot of capital expenditure items that were really not taken care of really well. It was just a really poorly managed property. So we're going in and taking care of a lot of those things, which allow us to raise the rents and then sell at around 5 years.
Okay, so the plan is not a hold forever. You want to exit in a couple of years.
Yes, and then we have investor. This is a syndication deal, so we plan to pretty much double our investors' money within the 5 years.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then it was, I love what you said about, oh yeah, we work with a broker and he saw that we delivered, so he sent us more. Like, isn't it amazing when people just tell you, oh, I like working with you because you actually do what you said you were going to do. And it's such a basic thing, at least to me, it sounds really basic, but when you get that feedback, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's just a good reminder that there's a lot of tire kickers in the industry, like people that are out there looking and looking and looking, but they'll just never take the first step to either submit offers, or they're just maybe scared, there's fear, or they just don't even know exactly what they want. And that was something that we learned early on when we started talking to brokers with zero multifamily experience, is that we really had to play up kind of our other real estate experience, like those 2 single family homes. Like we vaguely told our broker, yeah, we own property in Atlanta, Georgia. We didn't mention they were single family, not multifamily. And we were just super specific on what we were looking for in Oregon. Like, hey, when we first had an initial conversation with him, we were like, hey, we're looking for 20 to 30 units, $1 to $2 million value add. We're looking for this kind of property. And we were super specific on what we were looking for. And so I think we had a bunch of other brokers that we had conversations with, especially in Atlanta, Georgia, that asked us our track record. And then when they found out we were kind of newbies, didn't really take us super seriously. But this broker up in Oregon, young, hungry broker, Marcus and Millichap, and he didn't really ask our years of experience. And because we were really specific on what we were looking for, I think it gave him the impression that we really knew what we were doing. So those initial conversations are really key.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, you bring up a good point. Like, yeah, experience is important, but at the beginning we all start with zero experience. But as long as you're very specific about what you're looking for, instead of like, oh, I'm just looking for like a deal in that region. Okay, but what kind of asset class? Oh, well, just something that's below market value. It's like, get out of here, don't waste my time.
Yeah, I think some people do that though, which is unfortunate for brokers. Yeah.
No, I've had conversations here in Montreal with brokers who are like, you can tell within the first 2 minutes how serious people are just by the way they answer the most basic questions.
Right.
So that's actually a very good lesson from you in terms of being extremely specific in what you're looking for, even going into the numbers, detailing what's your ideal property and the strategy that you'd like to follow. And so on and so forth. So now you said it was in the $1 to $2 million range?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll just say 2 million just for fun. And okay. So then you found this great deal. Now I doubt you had the funds necessary to just close on it. So you had to go raise the capital necessary.
Yes. So we syndicated that deal out to friends and family. It was a 506B deal. And we had just started having a lot of conversations with people in our lives about what we were doing in real estate. I'm super active on social media and creating connections with other real estate investors through like masterminds and meetup groups, and just creating good relationships with people who are interested in investing. And so we were able to raise money for that deal.
Okay. And then you raised just enough for the down payment and a little bit of the rehab?
Yeah. So that one had a huge CapEx item. So the roof needed to be replaced, the windows and sliding glass doors, and then it needed to be completely painted. The whole outside needed to be redone. So I think we had like 180,000 in maintenance and repairs for that project specifically. So we ended up raising 675,000 for that deal.
Okay. And can you kind of walk us through the process that you used to raise that capital?
Yeah, definitely. So brand building and launching my brand, The Networth Nurse, was huge. I did that in November 2020. And that was really after doing our first syndication deal that we raised with friends and family. Again, that was a smaller raise, like $250,000. But as I was continuing to have conversations with investors, I was referring them to other resources and websites to learn about syndication process. And that was a huge shift of like, I need to have my own content that I can refer people to.
Yeah.
But of course, as investors and passive investors, I always encourage people to check out different educational material, not just from one person. You want to kind of get it from different people to get different perspectives on it. But that motivated me to start writing blogs, start doing YouTube videos, posting stuff on social media, doing podcasts, coming out here and sharing my story. And that was the biggest motivation behind that, was because I used podcasts to get my inspiration and motivation. So now I'm out here trying to kind of share that message to hopefully motivate and inspire other people as well. But so really that brand building was like the first step. And then that allowed me a foundation to, when I started having conversations with people, I could say, okay, here, check out my website. I have a doodle video on there on my YouTube channel that shows exactly what the syndication process is, because a lot of people don't know really what a syndication process is. And I mean, when you understand the concept of, oh, it's just a bunch of investors pooling together their money and their resources to take down these bigger deals like apartment complexes, it's like a super cool concept of like, wow, it's a team effort. It's a team sport. You get to invest with other people. And for me, it allows me to work with medical professionals, primarily like doctors and nurses that I work with, who want to get started in real estate investing, but don't want to do any of the heavy lifting. I mean, they don't want to find the property. They don't want to deal with the property manager and the contractors and hitting the returns, but they want to passively invest in a deal where they're getting amazing returns through real estate, which you still get as a passive investor in these syndication deals. So it kind of created this perfect relationship now that we have with investors, that we like doing the work. We're very operation mindset. We have a good experience doing it now. And now we get to create these partnerships with people who want to passively invest.
For sure. And you said a few very interesting things. So are you now able more to raise and to get investors from the medical field?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's been helpful. So as you're strolling down the hallways at the hospital, you just say like, hey, I have a deal, 50K minimum, who's in?
So not even like that. So I am in a management role, and I'm actually kind of in a newer role. Well, I've been there 9 months, but I would still consider myself newer. I don't have like those great relationships with people like I did at my previous job, where I've had people invest with me. But it's kind of like, people love talking about real estate. And when I'm at the hospital, I constantly hear about it, like the doctors, nurses, staffs talking about like cryptocurrency. Like, that's always a topic of conversation right now. And I'll kind of like jump in the conversations and be like, what, you guys are gambling with your money, like look into real estate. This is what you can do with investing in real estate. And so I kind of just poke into those conversations. And then it's kind of gotten around like, oh, Savannah invests in real estate. And so I'll have people at my work like ask me about like different things about even buying primary residences here in LA, or just different lender resources. So I've talked to people about even Airbnb, and I don't even do that, but just providing them resources that I know just from being in the real estate community. So just kind of through word of mouth is how that's kind of progressed, and through a referral basis, which is always a good reminder for me and my husband as we're doing our deals to like really underwrite conservatively, hit those returns for your investors, because then you build this referral base and repeat investors. And that's really the best way to grow the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Be generous to your investors, treat them well, and then they will refer you so much business. Yeah, no. And you've been able to position yourself as kind of like the point of reference for in real estate within your professional realm. So now anytime someone thinks about real estate, they're like, oh, I'll talk to Savannah on Monday.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny with just medical professionals in general, like nursing, I think has been consistently voted one of the number one trusted professions. And so just built-in trust that nurses have already in my industry. And then just, I do have healthcare professionals reach out to me because we already have kind of this built-in rapport and relationship. And that's so important to me, because when I originally was thinking about launching a brand. My husband and I had done our first syndication deal, and we were like, okay, we're going to have to do some sort of marketing for our business as like a foundation of kind of our resources and what we're doing in our business. And my husband and I just have no sales background. Like we're just, that's not in us to kind of do that and push ourselves out there in that way. But then when I was talking to kind of a marketing coach, it was like, I can be super genuine in what I'm doing by just being a nurse, pushing out there what I'm doing. Like I post healthcare stuff on my Instagram page. It's not all real estate. Like I posted a heart video yesterday and talking about that. So it's kind of a way that I can be super genuine to myself and not feel like cheesy as I'm out here raising money from people. Like we kind of have this built-in trust.
Yeah. And it's important for you to remain the nurse. You're the nurse who's gone into real estate instead of just being a real estate investor who happens to be a nurse.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what I love about this is that you've gone beyond so many fears that holds other people back. I mean, seeing what you've done in just a year is pretty impressive. And so I find something that unites us as, I'll put myself in your category as a successful investor, is that at least like to take action. Because as you said, so many people just look and they stay on the sideline and they look, and then every time you offer them a deal, they'll try to do anything possible to find something that's wrong with it that justifies not getting involved. And so obviously these people should be, I hate to say, but like put aside because they're a waste of time. But you took the approach of, this is what I want to do. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And so it really does go back to mindset, because you can learn all the technicals about how to structure an offering and how to properly operate and how to build your team and so on. At the end of the day, it's all in the head. And so do you have a secret sauce?
It is.
Please share it.
Yeah, it is such a mindset piece. And I think if you ask any entrepreneur or a real estate investor, that mindset shift and that constant, I mean, it's a muscle. It's not something that we're born with, that grit and that persistence and that motivation to keep going. I mean, it's really such a learned skill, which is great news, because that means anyone can do it, right? I mean, that's something that out of college, my dad just super instilled in me, like setting goals. And I kind of hit like a low point in my life. And it was like, what am I doing? Like, I just was looking towards anything for comfort or resources to just like keep going and finding motivation. And I started reading like The Secret and Think and Grow Rich and just all these self-help type books, Tony Robbins, like all these gurus. And I mean, as cheesy as it would be, and sometimes it's just the same thing over and over and over, like that Think and Grow Rich book, I forget when it was written, but like over
like
1920
or something like that. It's like, it's over 100 years old.
Right. 100 years. And it's like those topics in that book are so relevant, like they're gold. And even when he's in that book interviewing these like successful people, it's just like foundational concepts that have been understood and used for years and years. So it's really nothing new out there. There's no reinventing the wheel. When you hear people say, write down your goals, wake up early in the morning, know your why, meditate, and it's just like you start hearing these same things over and over. It's like, oh, well, maybe if I just start incorporating these things in my life, like things will kind of start changing. And I tell people it's kind of like a side effect of reading all these self-help books is like literally thinking you can do anything. Like you just think like, why not me? Like, why can't I go out there and do this? And yeah, it was very intimidating coming into the real estate world, especially as a nurse. Like that's my whole background, and the imposter syndrome of coming into a space and being like, okay, I'm just a nurse. Who am I to come into the space and do this? Like for me, there was already doctors out here raising money from medical professionals. And I was like, there's already people out here doing it. Like no one's going to invest with me. They're already investing with these guys. Like I don't fit in here. And it was just like constant doubt. And then it was like, okay, well, who am I not to be out here doing this? Like I'll appeal to different investors. Like I have something different to offer than some of these other doctors out here raising money. And so it was just kind of just the constant reassurance of like, yeah, you deserve a place in this space.
Definitely. And you mentioned the imposter syndrome. I'm glad to hear that you're going, or you have gone through it as well, because so have I. With my wife, we've built a small portfolio. It's not huge, but when you hang out with people who have a couple of hundred doors, then there's the tendency to look at yourself and be like, oh my God, I've done nothing. This sucks. Like, how could I even talk about it on a podcast? Like, why? And the thing is that it's really just on the head, and we just go at different speeds. And it's so true what you said about like the mindset shift. And I'd love to hear your perspective on it. For us, like it was a lot about from the money part of like, well, we can't do this. We don't have $500,000 to go buy a $2 million property. We can't do this. And then as you learned so well and showed through syndication, no, it's actually not that complicated. And there's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of people with money who don't know what to do with it. Just be the solution for their problem, and they'll want to invest over and over and over again. And so the mindset, like it's true that it's 80% in the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I love that you mentioned. So, I mean, I literally just did a YouTube video on my channel about like overcoming limiting beliefs. And one of them was not having enough money. When my husband and I first learned about real estate investing, we didn't have an extra $50,000 laying around for a down payment on a house, but it was like, it was never, okay, well, let's just wait until we have the money. It was like, no, where do we find the money now? And we immediately started educating ourselves on like literally Googling how to invest in real estate with no money. And it was just like all these options of like, did you know you can tap into your home equity? We're like, we didn't even know about that concept. But then we were like, oh, we have $100,000 worth of equity in our home. Let's tap into it at a low interest rate, invest it in real estate where we're getting 15, 20% returns. It's a no-brainer mathematically. So we did that. And then after we did that deal, again, we didn't have any money. And it was like, all right, where can we find the money? Oh, we can pull from our retirement accounts to invest in real estate. Like, didn't know about that concept. You can pull from life insurance. You can switch over your retirement accounts into self-directed IRAs. Like, there's so many different ways that you can tap into capital in your life. And that's just a huge limiting belief that we conquered. And even like now we've kind of exhausted those resources, and we're still kind of at that point of like, okay, where are we going to find the money for our next deal? And it's not like we're going to wait around for a year until we can kind of create that money. Like, we're going to find a new way to get another deal done.
Mm-hmm. And you just talked about like the limiting beliefs that we all have, just some people more than others, and obviously depending on our background, education, experiences, and so on. But like, and I'm sure you've come across people like that they're interested in real estate, they want to, but again, they'll pick apart every possibility that could go wrong and say, well, yeah, I mean, your tenants aren't going to pay you. Like, I'm not going to invest with you. Like, what do you say to these people that have such an inner conflict of, do you want to or not? Because if you don't, stop wasting your time and go in crypto.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from definitely your risk tolerance for sure. And you really got to understand where your foundation is with that, especially if you're getting into real estate and kind of what deals and strategies you could do. Like my husband and I first thought we were going to do BRRRRs, which is buying a place of really below market value, needing pretty much a full renovation, renovating it, renting it out, putting a renter in there, refinancing it to essentially pull out all that capital and then repeating it. So for us, it was like, cool, this is a perfect way with a fixed amount of capital that we can kind of keep snowballing and growing our rental portfolio. Yeah. But then when it came to buying a property across the country, because we weren't going to buy something in LA, in Georgia, like with all our money put into it, something that needs a complete gut job, us not having any contracting experience, like that was way too risky for us. And we were like, this is out of our comfort level. Like we wanted to do it. And we actually put a couple offers on some of these homes that we wanted to flip, but it just came down to like, do we want our first real estate experience to be so stressful? We're working full-time jobs. We have 2 young kids at home. Like that was a risk tolerance that we weren't willing to take. Like that was too risky for us. And not saying it doesn't work. There's tons of people out there making that strategy work 100%. But for us, that was like kind of out of our comfort zone. Yeah. So we just went down a different path. So I think it's good to know for everyone looking to get into real estate, there's so many different ways that you can get in. And again, on that YouTube video I did, I was talking about like your why. And if your why is not super strong, then it's going to be harder to take that first step. For us, my husband and I were super specific on our why behind why we're investing in real estate. So we sacrifice things in the evening, like Netflix. We're not binging Netflix shows. We're working on real estate. And if people are having trouble making that sacrifice, I would recommend you going back and reassessing your why and why you even want to do this in the first place. Because if you're having trouble making that sacrifice, maybe that why is not strong enough.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you need to go back to your original goal and think hard about what is it that you want to do and why. Absolutely. And so you seem to be very dead set on your why. So what lays ahead in the next couple of years for you?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, ours, like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, is just like time freedom with our daughters. So, our goal is to move my husband into a full time real estate professional within the next like 3 to 5 years and get him working on the business full time because he does all
Mhm.
the asset management and acquisitions. I really love my job at the hospital. I've created really great relationships there with people, and I just really love what I do. So, I haven't decided if I want to move out of it, not give it up like forever, maybe move down to a part time position. But
Yeah.
honestly, for me, it's really about having the choice and the flexibility to do that if you want. Not saying like I have to quit nursing altogether, but I want to be financially in a position like 3 to 5 years down the road where I have the choice to decide if I want to keep doing nursing.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize how choice is actually freedom, because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't have the choice and they're stuck in that
Yeah.
situation, for sure. And in terms of your goals, like you've been pretty clear about, how you allocate your time, and spending time with your kids is really important. And then have you decided on an objective in terms of asset under management or number of doors, or what does that look like for you guys?
Oh, definitely. Like you have to. So, I mean, for us, when we got started in real estate investing, we sat down and made our 5 year goal. And we sat down and my husband and I did it together, like kind of wrote down what we envisioned our lives to look like in 5 years. Like we were waking up in the morning. Where were we waking up? Like what were we doing on a day to day? What conversations were we having with people? What were we working on? What things we were doing with our kids, with our family? Really, that was a super fun way to get creative about where you want to be in 5 years. And it really reminds you that you have complete control of your life, and kind of what you're willing to put into it, you can get out of it. And so for us, we made a goal of where we wanted to be in 5 years. And then it was like, okay, well, how much money do we need to be bringing in every month to be at that goal? And we had a specific number, and then we kind of worked backwards from there. It was like, okay, that's where we want to be in 5 years. How much money do we need to be bringing in every month at 3 year mark? How many deals do we need to have done? How many units do we need to be managing to make that happen? And then even backtrack to 1 year. And so it really laid out when we first got started real estate investing. It was like, okay, this is how many deals we need to do in our first year investing to bring in this amount every month to stay on track with our 5 year goal. So when you kind of make a plan, 5 years, I think is super a good mark because it's like close, but not too far away, a little closer than 10
Yeah.
years, right? And so I think that's a good mark for people to kind of set and then kind of work backwards from there. And then it really just lays a blueprint out of like what action steps you need to be doing. I mean, for us, it was like even on a monthly basis of like, okay, we need to be having this many conversations with investors this month, and we need to be submitting this many offers on
Yeah.
deals. So it kind of lays out what you need to do.
And you explained it perfectly. Like when you pick a 5 year objective and then work backwards, it literally prepares the blueprint of what
Yeah.
is it that you need to do per year, and then in some cases per month or 6 months mark and 3 months objectives and so on. And it makes it so much easier. Okay, to reach that, I need to do so many deals. I need to have acquired so many properties. To do this, I need to make so many offers and so on. It's just sadly, a lot of people still don't think this way. And it's too much of a, and I guess it also depends on how far you are in the spiral of confidence as a real estate investor. I remember in the beginning, like even making an offer on a duplex was a big deal.
Mhm.
Whereas now it's kind of like, okay, let's do that in the next hour and then move on to another project. It's absolutely crucial to have good objectives and the necessary plan and strategy on how to get there. Now, in your case, you mentioned 3 years, 5 years. Realistically, do you think 10 years from now, you'll still be at the hospital and keeping those? Well, I guess, how could I even ask that question? I mean, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably not. In 10 years, I mean, I doubt it just with how much progress we've made over the last year. It's really pulling me now, which is, I mean, how many investors we have in the 3 syndication deals we've done in the first year. It's like getting to a point where it would be really difficult. I'd either have to hire someone and kind of start outsourcing that stuff, which is fine. But I really love being involved with the investors and creating content on the social media. So it would have to be kind of a trade at that point to kind of reevaluate.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Time is going by. I have two more questions for you. The first
Okay.
one is, what advice would you give to people who are starting out and are you 10 months ago and would like to be in your shoes right now, what would you tell them?
I would say connect with someone who's doing what you want to be doing or who's at a place where you want to be. So whatever strategy you want to do in real estate, Airbnb, land, flipping, multifamily syndications, like find someone on social media who you like, who's doing it, who's out there making it happen and connect with them. I mean, I'm super receptive to people reaching out to me, asking me how I got started or what tips and advice I have. And honestly, just connecting with people who are doing what you want to be doing and picking their brain and asking them, how they got started. It's the perfect way to kind of get momentum and start taking those first steps.
Mm-hmm. Definitely find and not necessarily a mentor, but find someone that you'd like to become, and then learn from them.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's so many resources that you need to have in real estate to get things done, insurance, contractors, property managers. Like if you're investing in a certain area with someone else, like they may be willing to share some of those resources, like lawyers when you're drafting up legal documents. Like it's good to share resources with people. And especially as I've submerged myself in the real estate community, it's full of such amazing, receptive, positive, contributing entrepreneurs who are very willing to share their resources that they've been using to get their deals done. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel, like just kind of build from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then second question is, how can our audience help you? What can we do to help you today, tomorrow, and so on?
I am starting a real estate meetup for healthcare professionals. I'm actually starting that next week. So if you know of any medical professionals, healthcare workers who are in real estate, I would love for them to join the meetup. We're just going to be talking about not just multifamily syndications, but a lot of different real estate techniques and strategies. I'll have a speaker lineup that'll be full of healthcare professionals that are doing real estate. So I'm hoping to provide a lot of value and just create a really good community.
Super good. Good luck on that. And then how often are you going to be holding events?
Weekly, every Thursday.
Okay, wow, weekly. Okay, perfect. Because by the time the show airs, it'll be a few weeks. But actually, I do have some health professionals in mind, and there's someone I will give a shout to afterwards because he's actually been pretty successful, and he's an operator. He's raised capital from people in the medical field, and I will definitely tell him to join.
Amazing. Yeah, I need some speakers too.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, I'll put you guys in touch. Savannah, you're a great inspiration. I'm really glad that we did this interview today. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck. And I would love to, a year from now, 2 years from now, let's do it again and see where you're at.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone's interested in following me on any of my social media accounts, it's the Networth Nurse. That's under Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please connect with me, reach out. I love connecting with other people in the realm.
And I just want to say the Networth Nurse is a fantastic name. Good job. It's sticky.
It's sticky. I got to give my husband credit for that one.
Good job. All right, Savannah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And for everyone else listening who got the chance and the luck to listen to Savannah today, thanks for joining. And as usual, if you like the content, please subscribe, share it with a friend who could benefit from it. It always helps us in getting good guests. So have a wonderful day. Thank you very much and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.